And joining me now live from Washington is Sina Azodi. He's an adjunct professor of international affairs at George Washington University. Thank you so much, Professor, for taking the time to talk to us. Your doctoral dissertation actually focused on the evolution of Iran's nuclear program since its inception back in the 1950s. How would you describe the current moment in time for Iran's nuclear program?
Well, I think the Iranian nuclear program is at a stage where it hasn't ever been. The Iranian nuclear program started to change starting in the early 2002, 2003, when the Iranians were able to master the enrichment technology, which is a key technology that you would need to either produce fissile material for nuclear weapons or fuel reactors. And ever since Iran has advanced its nuclear program, sanctions have been imposed. But I don't think ever, I have not seen any point in the course of the Iranian history that it's been so advanced.
So advanced. I know that back in November, you wrote in Foreign Policy about whether or not Iran is going to be dashing for the bomb. I mean, I know that the U.S., this is their biggest fear, that Iran would actually try to make a bomb out of this material. Do you think that's what they're trying to do, make a nuclear bomb?
I don't think so. And the latest U.S. intelligence shows that they have not taken the key steps necessary to produce a nuclear weapon. They have not made a political decision to go for the bomb. But I would say that they want to keep the option open if at some point in the future they would need to revise their nuclear doctrine. And the Shah of Iran also pursued the same technology. They wanted to have the option that if sometime in the future Iran's strategic environment changes, Iran would have the option of going for the bomb. But as I said in my previous question, I don't think Iranians have ever been so close to the bomb than in 2025.
Again, though, being close to the bomb, actually wanting to build a bomb, I guess those are two different things. So why, in your analysis, do you think that they've purified that uranium up to 60% purity? I think that's what they have now, and around 8,000 kilos of uranium, according to the IAEA. Why so much?
Well, I think that they want to use it as a bargaining chip at the negotiation table. The amount of sanctions on Iran is so much that Iranians think that the only way that they can get these sanctions off is through using the nuclear card. They also think that they can use their nuclear technology as a bargaining chip to get concessions in other fields such as trade, commercial relations, security benefits, and so on and so forth. They believe that without their nuclear program, the great powers, the United States, Great Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and China, will not give Iran a seat at the negotiation table because Iran is a middle power. But they use the nuclear program as a bargaining chip to get concessions in different fields.
I guess the flip side of that they're using it as a bargaining chip is the fact that they now have these really severe sanctions crippling the country's economy. And of course, it was Donald Trump who pulled out of that old JCPOA deal from 2015. But this new deal, though, that they're discussing, we're going to have new talks next week, both technical and also high-level talks in Oman. Do you think that this new deal is going to be pretty much the same as the old one, or do you see it going in a different direction?
Well, I think that it will carry Donald Trump's name on it, but I think pretty much it will be the same. Iranians will not give up on their enrichment program. It's their brightest red line. And from what I've seen in open sources is that there's a discussion of going back to 3.67% enrichment level, which is reactor level enrichment and is not suitable for nuclear weapons. So I think if that happens, and again, the details of the deal matter so much, but I think that we will eventually have something similar like the JCPOA, but this one will be named after Donald Trump because he was the one who negotiated. And I would not be surprised if he would come out and say that this is the best deal ever negotiated.
Of course, no one's ever seen such a great deal, right?
Of
So
course.
anyway, if they do reach an agreement, I know that there's a red line here from the Iranian side. They do not want to stop enriching uranium. Is there any point where Iran can say, okay, sure, fine, we're going to stop enriching uranium because of this great deal that you're putting on the table?
I don't think so, because of the political consequences and the optics of it. For years, for over 20 years, they sold the nuclear program and enrichment as what they call it, their inherent right in the NPT. But now, if they've faced sanctions, threats of war, etc., just to sell this enrichment project. However, if now they're going to do it, there will be consequences domestically and internationally. They've also seen what happened to Libya. In 2003, Muammar Gaddafi, the former dictator of Libya, gave up its enrichment program for sanctions and economic relief. But in 2011, he was toppled in a NATO-led military campaign. And they actually pointed out to the same fact, saying that we should not make this mistake that Gaddafi made.
Yeah, the so-called Libya solution. All right, Dr. Azodi, thank you so much for your time here on TRT World. Really good to hear your insights into this question.
Thank you.